Okay, so in order to do the animation, we have to create our character first. Let's dive into that, and then we're gonna fast forward and skip the character creation part, and then go to generating backgrounds, and then to animation. Character heads, we have a reference over here. This is our head references. The face structure should be similar to these, and because it's a stick figure character, we can just make a stick figure. Let's just make it transparent a little bit. Okay, so for the stick figure, we need every body part in a different layer, and the body part we're gonna draw is with the path tool. What we are gonna do is first create 2-point limbs and then add our third point when we go and create our bones. It just helps me to find out the center point of the bone, the connecting point where two bones join together. So I'm gonna keep this at 6 pixels. So this is gonna be our length, the stroke length of the body parts, and we're gonna duplicate this as many times we need the different parts. Let's just say this is gonna be a body part. So all we need is these body parts. Okay, so let's arrange the body parts where they're gonna be. Okay, so all our body parts are in position. Now all we have to do is create our heads and then connect it with our body. So let's create a new vector layer and name it base. Because the head will have lots of moving parts, we don't want to name our base layer the head. We want to name the group as a head, so it's easier for other animators to recognize the layers and its structures. We're going to turn on our reference layer and create our head. Because we are going to create a man here, I'm thinking an aged man like this one. Now we can select our shapes and fill in the original color that we actually want. So this will be this color, the hair will be black, Eyes are okay. Let's do the brows. Yeah, fine. Now we're gonna retouch these lines. Okay, so all the work on the face is done. It's nice and wrinkly. Now we just have to set our head right area. Let's see, make an anchor point here, and here's our man. Now just have to create and set everything in the same folder. And let's create bones. Let's set this to a bone layer and let's start creating bones. I always start creating a anchor bone. This is the first bone that we'll ever create, and after selecting this is how you know this is selected. This is red. We are going to create one of our torso, one of our chest, upper body, and one for our head. These three bones are always created like this. These are all connected like a chain to our anchor bone. And after selecting this, what we're gonna do is create two more bones for our leg, roughly at the center, and then create another one. Then let's select this anchor bone again, the hip bone, and then create our other two bones. Now for the hands, we're gonna select this bone, and from this joint we're gonna rig our hand just like this and like this. Same procedure for the other side too. Let's create this and this. Voila, we have our rig. Now not yet, because this isn't gonna move. So what you have to do is create, you see all the blue lines around it. This is the strength of the bone. This is its influence area, and we have to make it small so it only covers the area we want it to cover. So we're gonna go into the strength or S key and shrink it down to somewhat in range of this hand. Now we're gonna select this and do the same thing here. Okay, so this fixed our area of strength issue, but it still won't match to our correct limbs. So what we have to do is bind the points of each and every shape with the bone. And before we do that, remember we left a point that we are gonna do after we have set our bone. So now we have to do that point. So let's do this for this bone. What we have to do is first come here and select to the point that we actually have our bone, and afterwards in the middle point we're just gonna boop our point there. Now we're gonna do the exact same thing for all the other limbs. Okay, so we have our bones in place and all the points that we need. Now we're gonna go back to our bone layer and start binding it. To binding it, first we'll have to select the layer that we are binding. Let's start with the right arm. Now we have selected our right arm. Now the bone that we want to bind to, we're gonna select this and select our bind tool, and then create just to create a circular shape on the point that we want, and click bind. Now we're gonna do the same thing. The shortcut is B and I. B for the bold selection tool and I for the binding tool. Now we are done binding all of our body part, but the head still remains. So what we are going to do is select our head bone, go to our head layer, create Ctrl A to select all the points and create a binding with our head bone. Now we're going to do this for every other layer. Everything is binded to this bone. But now when we go and test our rig, and we can move our head, move our hand, move our whole rig, move the legs, move the body. Now later, what we are gonna do is work on our expressions and the thing that we want to move. So the thing I do for every rig that I'm currently creating for this project is able to change his eye positions and a blink, and also anchoring his leg to the ground. So before we do that, we're gonna start with our anchoring to the ground, and then we're going to move to our expressions. So in order to do that, we have to create an empty bone. So we have to deselect every bone that we have and click on somewhere outside of the bone. Then get our create bone tool and click once. Don't drag, just click and release. Now do the same thing again. We have made two bones because we have two limbs. So now with the bone rotation tool, we're going to place them at his leg, and we're going to make these two leg bones are stretchy, a little bit stretchy. So it's 110% works for me. So it's done. And let's see, this is called bone 13 and this is called bone 14. So we're gonna have to actually bind these two bones to bone 13, this one. So this changed its icon style and turned into something different. This is what we want. See how it turned differently? This is all done. So now when we actually move our character, the legs will stay in place. Now all we have to do is put an angle restraint on our legs, and then we can use this. But for the angle restraints, we're going to actually wait until we use this rig in our animation. So you can particularly customize it for that. So now on, we have to create our bone expressions. For that, I like to create our bone connected to our hips and create as many bones for as many expressions we need. So one for blink, and we're going to show this level, and then let's create another for eye rotation, one for eye X rotation, and one for our Y rotation. So after that, we're going to select all these bones and click strength tool and lower the strength to 0. Then we're going to come to one bone at a time and actually create our smart bones. So go to bones, make a smart bone. Now we do want both vertices here, because one vertex, when we rotate this bone to here, we want our eye to go in this direction, and one when we do in the opposite direction, we want our eye to go the opposite directions. So we do need separate action, position and negative angles. We do want that, and the eye's name is correct because we already named it here. And click OK, and this will turn your timeline into this whitish bluish thing. And get your action layer. So if you don't see that, just go here and then actions to show here. And now you have two actions called IX and IX2. So what we are going to do is go on IX and see it like disappeared. Sometimes it disappears, but it will always be inside. So we're going to turn this and place it over here when we actually want it. This is going to be here, and when we have what we have is this animation is going to be for 100 frames. Now I always suggest to get your animation longer than you need the animation to be. So you'll have some headrooms if you need a longer animation or a shorter one. So 100 frames works for me here, and what I'll do is go to the eye layer, iris layer, and move it. Now there's one more thing, I forgot to make it into a mask. So hide all, yes, and for this I'm gonna extrude the strokes. Okay, so now when we go back to our IX position, and for the 100th frame, we have our eyes moving. So we can fine tweak this, it won't matter. So I have this like here. So So whenever we move our bone to the right, it will make our eyes go right, at least our iris. So for the second, we're gonna go to our 100 frame. We select this bone and rotate this on the opposite direction. So we want our bone to be in this side, and then we can animate our iris. Make sure you're on the correct frame, and then just move it to the other direction. So if we go back into our main folder and manipulate this bone to the right, the eyes goes to the right, and if it left, then the eyes goes to the left, and anything in between. Now we are gonna do the same thing for the Y rotation for this bone. So we're gonna create our new keyframe on the 100, and let's make this go up. I'm gonna try to make it as aligned as possibly can. Now we go back to the second one and actually rotate it in the other way. Now we can make this iris go lower in the other direction. This will be fine, and we're done. Now we go back to our bone layer and manipulate this bone. So our eyes now go this way and this way. So anything in between will work too. This is why I wanted to make this a separate axis. That's why we can control everything with like two controller. We can make these two controller into one controller, but it's a little bit advanced, and we don't need that for this character. Now for the last one is the blink. We're gonna select this and create a smart bone out of it. We don't actually need separate one for this, so we're gonna turn this 0, and this is gonna be grayed out. We're gonna click OK. This is gonna make our bone jump off the cliff, and we're gonna have to save it by grabbing it on here and bring it to our level. Okay, so for the eye blink, we're gonna be on the 100, and now we're gonna manipulate the eye white layer. We're gonna basically make this eye shut and fix any bugs that we face later on. So when the eye shuts, we also want some movement on the wrinkles coming down, and we're gonna do the same thing on the other eye. Just play the animation and see if something's weird. I think it's gonna do for this. I might tweak it a little bit. I think it's okay. So we're gonna go back to our main layer and see if it works or not. Let's go back to our bone, and okay. So it seems to be partially correct, but it's not all the way. So what we're gonna do is go back to our blink, and what one fix I have seen is get these two keyframes and set them to the last frame. And so it fixes the thing, I think, yeah. So it closes all the way. So we can now change the angles, change the height, and our blinking motion all in one. So now I don't have anything else for this character. I might need to add a different mouth shapes, but that I can always get by with a switch layer. But if I need a mouth shape, we can make it on the spot and convert it onto a switch layer, because all we have to do is create a shape here on a different layer, of course, and turn them into a group and then a switch group. So this character is done for now, and we're gonna move on to our other characters. So here we have all the rigs that we have done. In total, we have 8 characters, and these are all the characters. So all we have to do now is put all of these characters into a single scene and animate them as we please. Hey guys, if you made it this far, thanks for watching. I hope you like this video here, and if you don't have time, you can also subscribe so I can pop up on your feed. Again, thanks for everything.